Krishna Mukamala. He is an ophthalmologist here in Atlanta, if I might say so, a very successful individual in many ways, and also has tons of Swami's principles incorporated into his life from his earlier days in Prashanti, spending summers there, from, of course, reading a lot about Swami, and coming from a Sai family. Very much someone I would consider a role model in our community for the young people coming up. I have some prompting to ask you about your family, and I'm not sure if there's anything. This is off the cuff, of course.
Yeah.
But, is there anything that comes to mind in that regard?
You know, I think, especially if you ask the same question to my mother, I think that she would probably, your SD card in your cell phone would probably run out because she has so many stories of Swami. Because in fact, every moment of our life is a story or a blessing from Swami if we are able to perceive it that way. But more specifically, I think relative to my life, you can say that, you know, when I was in middle school, kind of going into high school, it was again another one of those milestones like I spoke about earlier. And at that time, you know, I was going to a school, I was meant to go to a high school that may not have been as good educationally as my parents would have wanted, but at the same time, you know, they at that point couldn't afford for me to go to private school. So they were really in a dilemma, and a new school was being started called an International Baccalaureate program, but it being very new, they were uncomfortable with that as well. And so, you know, my father, I mean, unbeknownst to me, you know, was praying very hard to Swami as to what the correct decision should be. And one night shortly before the application was due, he had a dream where, you know, Swami was sitting and on his throne, and my father had gone up to him, and Swami had a piece of paper in his hand. And essentially it was the application. When my father finally saw it, it was an application for the International Baccalaureate program, and the place where the parent should sign was Swami's name. Oh. And it was an amazing experience, I think. In the short term, of course, it answered all of our questions, prayers about whether I should go to this school or not. But for me, in the kind of longer term, I would say the fact that Swami signed off as my father, I think to this day, he still behaves that way and blesses me that way. So I think that really is the most impactful piece for me.
That's an amazing story. I mean, to have that kind of confirmation. But Swami is, you know, your father, our Swami.